Now, Richard Newdig is the Director of Regulation at Uswitch. Richard, morning to you.
Good morning.
Shall we start with what it is, this price cap, how it's set?
Yes, so 60% of us are on this price cap. It governs the price of default tariffs. So basically, if you haven't switched to a fix, haven't switched for a while, you're almost certainly on this thing. The regulator comes along every 3 months with its spreadsheet and works out what it can be. Now, that means when big stuff happens in the world, like the conflict in the Middle East, that does impact wholesale energy prices. And then, although there might be a delay in where in that 3-month window the regulator comes round to it, it does have to take that into account. So that is what we're seeing now. Those rises are now being passed through to us who are on the price cap for the 1st of July. And it is a pretty nasty increase, as you were saying, for typical usage, over £200, 13% for the average household. That is quite a chunky rise. And it looks set to, at the moment, be continuing at those kind of price levels and potentially even increase when we get to winter.
Hadn't it just come down, the last one?
Absolutely. So in the April price cap, the government had made some changes to levies. That was before the situation in the Middle East kicked off. And it actually came down. So it's one of the better price caps that we've had for some time. So it is a shame that we're losing that. Now, the weird thing here is, though, those on fixed deals and the fixed deals currently available in the market, some of the best ones are actually at or even a little bit below the April price cap, the one we currently have, the one that came down. So there is something that customers can do.
Right. And let's talk, and the next one is due in October, correct?
That's right. It gets changed every 3 months. So we've got this one has been announced today, coming in on the 1st of July. The next one will be announced towards the end of August and will come in at the 1st of October.
And do we have any ideas of what might happen with that?
So there's less certainty than obviously the number we've got today, but the predictions are currently looking like it will be a bit above the level we're going to see in July. So that will get more certain the closer we get to the time, but it doesn't look like at the moment there's anything on the horizon that's going to bring it anywhere close to the current price cap we've had now. It looks like we're set to have these elevated prices for some time, including over winter when we use the most energy, when we have the heating on.
So when we... the US-Israel-Iran war, we don't know. We keep talking about maybe a ceasefire, maybe not. If that escalates or continues, particularly with the problems of the Strait of Hormuz, that may actually add more to the October price cap than we think.
Absolutely, there is a risk of that. Like, we call this thing a price cap, but we've got to remember that it changes every 3 months and it does have to reflect all of these things. So it doesn't cap the prices for very long. If the situation gets worse than it currently is, we will see a knock-on onto energy bills. If you're on the price cap, which 60% of us are, if you're on a fix, those prices are fixed for the duration of the fix and you don't have to worry about it until you come to the end of that. But if it gets worse, we'll definitely see that number get worse. Some are wondering, well, what if it gets better? Now, the challenge with some of this is that a lot of infrastructure has been destroyed. Even if there was a ceasefire, even if there was a deal like today, it's going to take a decent amount of time to recover the situation that's leading to these wholesale increases. So there isn't much prospect that quickly we're going to see prices get back down to where they are today. But these things do move. It's obviously a very changeable situation.
Why has this war impacted us more than, for example, the Ukraine war? Because the Ukraine war impacted us.
So, I mean, the situation where we had the energy crisis, that was where we had the sort of post-COVID economic recovery and then layered onto that the Russia-Ukraine problems. That was actually much worse than what we're seeing now. So we saw price caps that were much higher. The government had to do a drastic intervention with something called the energy price guarantee. And that was worse because sort of pipelines of gas were cut off towards Europe. It was more of a fundamental supply problem, something that was ongoing. The situation in the Strait, the situation we're seeing now is because the Strait is closed, a bunch of oil and gas is trapped there. And gas matters a lot for wholesale prices in the UK. Now, that's both the actual gas that comes through to our boilers and heats our homes, but we also use gas to generate some of our electricity as well. And the way the pricing works for that is gas is very influential to the price of electricity. Now, although we don't get a huge amount of supply from there, it affects the global prices of gas because everyone's competing over the amount of stuff there is actually available. That pushes the prices up that our suppliers have to pay, and that's why the price cap is getting pushed up from the 1st of July, reflecting all of that.
So what is the government, or has the government indicated in terms of potential help?
So the government, as we were hearing at the clip from the Treasury Minister, the government is looking at this very closely. Now, the government has said that it is not looking at a all household type intervention that we saw in the energy crisis following Russia-Ukraine. It's looking at targeted help for those who need it the most, which is probably the right approach, because the truth of it is that a lot of households can get a fixed deal to protect themselves, but there are some households that are in a really significant situation, and we should get most of the help to them. So if you're in a vulnerable situation, it remains to be seen that the government has said that it's looking for help in winter for those who are vulnerable. But for the rest of us that might not be in that situation, it really is in our hands about whether we should do something to protect ourselves here, or we are going to have this challenge over winter.
Okay, let's talk practically what people can do. So the price cap is a cap on the amount you pay for certain units of energy. If you use less, you will pay less. When we say it's going to go up by £221 a year, that is a typical household's annual energy bill. What can you do? Say you might be a typical household, you might be in that bracket, or less, or paying less, or paying more. What can you do now to kind of mitigate the impact of this rise?
It's absolutely right that the price cap is a cap on the rates, so it does completely depend on how much you actually consume. So there are a few things. Obviously, when we actually get to winter, where this is really going to bite because we use that much more energy, you can keep track of your usage, try and manage that, keep your usage down. There are good apps out there that work with your smart meter and help with all of that. But there is something you can do on the rates as well. Now, thankfully, there are fixed deals available in the market that lock in for at least a year or so that are at around, even sometimes a little bit less than the current price cap. So this means that for households that can access those, you can completely dodge this increase by switching to that before the 1st of July. It will hold rates for at least a year, including over winter, where we start consuming the most. So it is an important message that I know when it's so hot, we've had a heat wave, the last thing people want to be actually thinking about is preparing for winter right now. But it is possible to protect yourself, dodge the rates completely. And that way, for those that can, should take those, get it sorted, get it off your mind. Then the government can focus on those that are more vulnerable, that really need the help. Like, that's the practical thing that people could do today to opt out of this thing completely.
Useful information, Richard. Good to talk to you as always. Richard Newdegg, Director of Regulation at Uswitch. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.